Welcome back to This Week in Film. It's a new week. Ray and Nick are here.
Hello.
I'm Nick.
I'm Ray.
And he's Ray Radamigay. I'm Nick Pananto. We both saw Suicide Squad. We're going to talk about that for the next show. Charlie's not here because he had some excuse.
We think Charlie just claims that he saw the movie, but then when he realized we were talking about it today, he decided that he couldn't come because he really never saw the movie.
Every time I talked to him about it today, he was on his phone, like he was looking at spoilers.
Like, oh, yeah, that part. Yeah, I like that part.
And he seemed the Joker.
Yeah, he didn't even seem like he really knew he was even in the movie.
Yeah, Charlie. All right, so Ray, we saw Suicide Squad. What did you think?
It's pretty awful. It's really no other way to put it. I was very excited for it. You know, I thought it would be different than the other movies that DC has pushed out. But it really wasn't. It was a jumbled mess.
Almost incoherent at times.
Yeah, you could tell that there were a lot of hands in, trying to fix it, if that's what you want to call it, and it just seemed very out of place. Even just right from the beginning, I thought the title slate that came down in the beginning of the film that just says like Suicide Squad was just out of place. Like when it came was just out of place.
Yeah, I completely agree.
When,
like the Warner Brothers logo just kind of started.
Right. It was. The movie just seemed from the very jump. It just scenes seemed like they were moved around and put places where they didn't need to be. Stuff seemed like it should have happened later in the movie, and it was brought to happen sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start messing around with stuff like that, it's rarely is ever good. Whenever you hear like reshoots, which this movie had, there's a really good chance that that's going to make the film even worse, and that's what it did.
Yeah. So before we really dive into it, spoiler alert.
Right.
Sorry. We're gonna dig into this meaty piece. So if you haven't seen Suicide Squad and you're planning to, maybe press pause. Don't listen to anything else till you get back to us.
And this might even actually make the movie better if you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe
I don't see how not listening to the show could make it better.
Right.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So right off the bat, the movie starts with what did it start with? The origin of Will Smith's character, Deadshot?
Yeah, it shows him in the jail cell, like boxing.
Right. And then it kind of does some flashbacks of him.
Right.
And then after the introduction of Deadshot, I'm probably going to do that 10 more times. After the introduction of Deadshot, we get another introduction to Deadshot.
Right.
Like they reintroduce the character to us almost immediately.
Right. Harley Quinn, the same thing.
Yeah.
They're introduced as like the two main, like they get introduced right off from the beginning.
Yeah.
They're the two main members of this squad. The two, leaders.
And my two favorite characters in the movie. Easily.
Yeah.
I thought Will Smith's character and the Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn, I thought they were terrifically performed characters.
Yes, I totally agree.
Trapped in a terrible movie.
Right.
So Will Smith is an assassin. He's a mercenary, like an assassin for hire. Margot Robbie is the Joker's girlfriend, who she's a psychoanalyst who he drives insane, and she becomes like his
partner in crime, basically.
Yeah, basically. So Will Smith, they set up his character. It's confusing to talk about. So, and then the other major character in the movie is the Viola Davis's Amanda Waller character, and she is a government badass. I don't know. She's like a bureaucratic nightmare.
And there's constantly like hints that like she's done like bad stuff in her past, like don't mess with her type of thing.
Yeah.
That they keep hinting at, but you never really find out what that actually was.
Right.
You just don't want to mess with this woman, basically.
Yeah. Like I know about the character from previous DC, like the animated series. She's a fantastic character in the animated series. And she knows everything. There's nothing that she doesn't already know. And she's very strong and just a villain. She's a bureaucratic villain.
Right.
And she is having dinner with a bunch of congressmen. I'm guessing they're Congress. They're some sort of government officials.
Yeah, the one guy seems like he's part of like the military in some regard.
And she says, I want to put together a task force of terrible people because when Superman comes back down to Earth, or because Superman's dead,
right?
That because you kind of forgot that Superman's dead already,
right?
From Dawn of Justice. Spoiler alert. Superman dies at the end.
If we haven't already completely ruined that movie for you, twice over,
right? And so she says, when Superman comes down again, or someone like General Zod comes down again, we need a team of people to fight them for us. So what I'm going to put together is Harley Quinn with a baseball bat,
right,
to take on General Zod. Like, that's her plan, is to put together these. None of them are really superheroes. Like, they keep saying metahuman,
yeah,
and none of them are.
Well, the only really metahuman is the Diablo,
right? Yeah,
and the Enchantress.
Yes,
who turns out to not even be part of the Suicide Squad.
Yes,
and ends up being the villain.
She's the villain in the movie.
Yeah,
because they needed one.
Right.
Like, it's just. That made no sense at all. The halfway through the movie, all of a sudden they're in a sewer. I don't even understand how that scene started. I mean, I've talked about it like 4 or 5 times, and I still don't, because the brother. Jesus Christ!
So if you're getting what we're getting at here, like this movie, like you have to see it to understand like what we're trying to explain. It's just that like everything is just all over the place, and like, you know, sometimes you see a bad movie and you're like, oh, that movie was all over the place, and like people say that stuff all the time. But, like, literally this movie is like, there's scenes that that just don't make any sense.
Yeah.
And like after it happens, you're like, I don't know why that was relevant, or how that was relevant at all.
Right.
But they threw it in there, and you're supposed to know what
it's supposed to be important to you in some way, and you don't understand, and all of a sudden you're in another flashback, or
right.
It was very difficult to keep track of when you were in the movie. Everything was either felt like a flashback, or we're in present time. But when we're in present time, it's almost impossible to know because we're jumping all over the place. So I don't know, where should we go next? The Joker? Should we just go to the Joker?
The Joker. Which I thought, I'd heard rumors before the movie that the Joker was going to be the villain of the movie.
I had also heard the same rumors.
And I really think that, so spoiler alert, he's really not the villain of the movie.
He's barely in the movie.
Right, barely in the movie. But I really think if they would have went that route, it would have helped the movie a lot.
Yeah.
If he would have just been the antagonist of the whole movie, get rid of the Enchantress and her weird thing that she had going on.
Yep.
And if you just made the Joker the villain, this movie would have been way better.
Yeah.
But he's kind of just thrown in there as... He's basically thrown in there just, we need to be the Joker in this movie, so let's put him in there.
Yeah. He's just kind of part of Harley Quinn's origin story, but they spend about 10 seconds on her origin, you know? And
then he's trying to, his whole point of the rest of the movie is him trying to get Harley Quinn back.
Yeah.
And basically break her out of jail, or break her out of the Suicide Squad and take her with him.
Yeah. Because somehow the Joker gets Harley Quinn a cell phone because
he gives the cell phone to that prison guard.
That guy, that guard, and then we never hear from that guy again.
No,
you know, it's such a confusing movie to talk about.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe we should just ask each other questions about.
Sure.
You know.
So all right. So what did you think of the Joker?
I liked and hated it at the same time.
I totally agree.
I heard someone describe him as, what was it? Hot Topic Tony Montana, you know, like Hot Topic the Scarface.
Yeah.
And it's totally accurate. Like when Jared Leto's Joker is acting crazy and not trying to act, when he wasn't trying to act tough,
right,
he was fantastic. When he started acting tough, you were like, this dude is a pansy.
Right.
Like, there's no way that these people would be afraid of him. But then you have that one scene where it's another one of the Harley Quinn's flashbacks where they're in the club after she's escaped prison or something.
Right.
And the Joker is talking to some other crime lord.
Common. The rapper Common.
Oh, yeah, that's who that was. Yeah. Oh, man, I could not place him.
But it's never explained who he is. He's just a gangster. Not at all.
Yeah, he's just generic bad guy.
Right.
And basically, it's the Joker who just got out of jail.
Right. He says,
and they're having like a big party. Yeah. And he says, "Oh, and you got a good woman over there." Like, he compliments the Joker on Harley Quinn. Right. And so the Joker then proceeds to give Harley Quinn to him as like a gift, like, you can have my woman.
Right.
And he's like, well, that's cool. I don't want to do that because
you're crazy.
You're the Joker. And then the Joker says, okay, and just shoots him. Right. Just shoots him. Like, I mean, is it just
to show you how crazy he is?
Crazy he is? But like, what was the point? I mean, I guess that's the point, is how crazy he is. But what a waste of time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I said, the Joker was pretty much thrown into this movie because they wanted him to be in it, and they really didn't give him much to do. I know a lot of people were angry about how he looked, and it wasn't the traditional way the Joker normally is portrayed.
I thought it was okay.
But I thought it was okay, and I thought it was cool. Yeah, I thought it was cool that they went a different route with it, and they tried something new. And I didn't think it was as bad as everybody is making it out to be.
Yeah.
I just thought they didn't really give him much to do in the movie. There were some times, like you said, that he was a little too over the top, and it got cheesy at that point.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to seen more of him. I would have liked to seen him with more of a story, more of like an arc.
Yeah. Or any kind of,
Right, and anything.
Other than, hey, I'm coming for you, Harley Quinn.
Right.
I mean, they have that whole sequence where the Joker and his gang break into a Wayne Enterprises laboratory.
Like testing facility or whatever.
And all of a sudden, Wayne Enterprises is the one that creates, the Suicide Squad. They all have these bombs implanted into their faces.
Right. So the reasoning for the, as you're watching the movie, you're like, why are these guys just not just running away? Because they're free.
Yeah.
And they explain to you that if they do run away, that
they'll set off the head bomb.
Right, and they'll just explode their head.
Yeah. And
that wasn't bad. That wasn't.
No,
that was a good reason for them to do what they're doing.
And it was done real clean. That's another sequence that I liked, was when they were like, because Will Smith is like, "Don't touch me," and and they did, and then move along.
Right.
That whole sequence was fine. That's actually when they're rolling them in to get the neck implants. I was talking with somebody else and said that's where everyone's. I feel like the beginning of the movie should have been Will Smith walking out of the store with his daughter, like whenever, like Christmas, where he's wearing the silly hat.
Right.
And that should have been the start of his story. And then we just kind of follow, like no more flashbacks. Just like, he gets taken down by the Batman. The stupid thing with his daughter happens.
Right.
And then we go to him in prison, or he gets out again, and it does the sequence where he assassinates the guy.
Right.
And then that sequence ends with him in the wheelchair being wheeled down the hall. And then, because the camera pans over to Harley Quinn, and then we do Harley Quinn's
Everybody
backstory.
should just be introduced back to back to back, or at least the important people back to back to back.
Yeah.
Find out who everybody is, and then you get into it.
Yeah.
But they just
they drag it out. They double up on their flashbacks. It really is a mess of a movie. I would love to see what it should have looked like, because it really is a shame, because there's a half decent movie in there. I don't think the movie was going to be like, I don't think I would ever say that the movie was going to be awesome, but there's a movie in there where you go, yeah, I'd watch that again.
Right.
How did you feel about the sequence when they're flying in the helicopter and it gets shot down and the helicopter crashes and they all just get out?
Oh,
they have that long drawn out helicopter crash sequence.
Right. And I guess the helicopter pilot somehow lands it in some way, right? It doesn't like crash.
Not like crashes and like tumbles and everything.
Yeah, well, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, and zero consequences from
right.
that. You know, like they're flying above the city and then they crash into a crane and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that you can just chalk up to like, comic book movie, these guys are superheroes or villains or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, just another example of like you're watching the movie and you're like, huh? Like what?
Right.
Like,
oh, and by the way, where were they? Where does the
it was
the client or the whole point of the movie is the Enchantress creates a doomsday weapon
right
in the middle of generic city.
Well, Midtown City?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they mention it.
Do they? Okay.
Something like that.
Because I was listening for it at one point. I went, where are we even at?
Right.
Midtown. I don't know who's there.
I think that's what it was.
It sounds like no heroes. Because where is Batman? Batman's
in Gotham. Oh, the Flash shows up briefly.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Captain Boomerang. You can't say that without. In Captain Boomerang's backstory, the Flash shows up, which was great because they don't dive into who is that dude. They just say, hey, the Flash. If you know who he is, the Flash took care of Captain Boomerang because he's one of his villains.
Right.
And it was like real quick and simple. That should have been what many of those guys were. There should have been a sequence with Killer Croc getting taken down by Batman or something.
Right.
There should have been. I feel like there should have been a lot more Batman in the movie because what they did. Oh, by the way, Batman's in the movie.
You can never have enough Batman.
It's true. But I'm jumping all around. But
well, I mean, there's no way to talk about this movie without jumping all around.
So whenever they introduce a character, most of the characters, when they introduce most of the characters, they put up a bio page of them that has like text that says Harley Quinn, nickname, and height, weight.
Right.
At the bottom of Harley Quinn's page, it says an accessory in the murder of Robin. And that's a throwback to in Dawn of Justice. There's a statue or a memorial to Robin in the Batcave where it says "ha ha ha,"
like
across the Robin costume. And we're just gonna gloss over that oh, Robin is dead.
Right.
This woman was involved in it. We assume the Joker was also involved in it. And if you've read the comics, you know that there's a Robin that the Joker kills. Spoiler alert, Ray. I know you're trying to catch up.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to gloss over that. But then the sequence that we get is that like right after her full page is when they go to the chase where like the Batmobile's chasing the Joker mobile.
Right.
And I assume that implies that Robin has already been killed and Batman is just chasing them around like it's just the regular day of the
I guess
week,
he's just a villain and he's chasing him around. But then here's another question I had. So he chases him around. Batman's like on top of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And they drive into the water.
Yeah.
And Harley Quinn gets shot out of her seat in the car into the windshield and gets stuck in the windshield.
Through the windshield.
Where does the Joker go?
Oh, the door was open.
Yeah, so he just he just swam away and just leaves her there?
And the Joker got away. Hey.
But he just left her there. Isn't she supposed to be his like...
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things about their relationship is he does that to her all the time. Like, she loves him unconditionally. And he treats her like garbage.
Right.
It's a very abusive relationship.
But that's how she gets caught.
Yeah.
In that.
And Batman punches her right in the face, which apparently is controversial to some people.
Really?
Yeah, but she's trying to slice his throat with a knife, and he's got to incapacitate her. So he punched her in the face, which is pretty impressive since he's underwater. I don't know if you've ever tried to throw a punch underwater, but it's
very hard.
And then he gets her above ground and has to give her CPR. Or he decides to give her CPR.
Right.
Now, that's another part of the Robin death. If Harley Quinn and the Joker have already killed Robin, and Batman now has to provide CPR to the woman that was involved in killing his partner, they don't do anything about that. Like, that should have been a terrible, like a very difficult moment, especially for this Batman who just murders people left and right.
Yeah, he should have just,
like,
popped her right there.
Yeah, like, there's no way that he fights to get her out of the water as quickly as he did with the Batman in this universe, especially if she's murdered someone that close to him,
Yep.
So that's just another thing that doesn't make any sense. Another Joker thing is I heard a rumor that the sequence when the Joker rescues Harley Quinn and they're in the helicopter, and then it immediately gets shot down by the monsters.
Right.
They make it look like he's saving her by getting her off of the helicopter. But what I heard is that he's actually trying to kill her. There's an extended sequence there where he's trying to kill her. And when she falls out of the helicopter, he's like tried to murder her, which is why in the very next scene when we see her, she throws away that necklace that has like put in on it, which is what she calls him. She throws that away because that doesn't make any sense why she throws that away.
I took it as he's dead. So spoiler alert, the Joker supposedly dies in the movie.
Right, yeah.
He's in a helicopter which crashes. They never explain if he's dead or not.
Right.
But she thinks he's dead.
Right.
And I just thought he's dead, so that's why she took it off.
That's what I thought at first too, and then I read the thing about he's trying to kill her in the extended part, which makes a little more sense because she does seem incredibly heartbroken and not just like I just lost my boyfriend.
Right.
But she just shows back up with the rest of the Suicide Squad, and that doesn't make any sense. She goes right back to where they were. Like, why don't you just leave?
Well, I guess she's insane. So
yeah. I don't know.
You can just chalk it up to that.
Yeah. Another Joker, Harley Quinn thing is what we were talking about before, where things are totally out of order, where the Joker is able to... The Joker steals from Wayne Tech a thing that turns off the bomb in her neck.
Right.
And he turns it off. And he rescues her, and then his helicopter explodes. She gets back with the squad, and they have that... I thought it was a nice scene in the bar. I love that scene with them in the bar, even though I didn't care for the Diablo character. And Rick Flag comes back in. He's the army guy that is on the ground with them.
Right. He's like their...
And he
like their
apparently...
leader.
Charlie's saying... He's the main character of the movie. He's the protagonist of the movie.
I don't know. I think Will Smith's
That's what I would think too. But apparently, nope.
I mean, there's no way Will Smith's going to be in a movie and not be the main character.
Yeah. Well, did you know that's the dude who was the new RoboCop?
Yeah. He's in that show. He's in that show, The Killing.
Oh yeah.
That was on AMC.
Oh yeah.
He's actually he's like foreign. He's not.
He's like
American.
Swedish or something, right? Yeah.
He does a pretty good American accent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though
I thought he did a good job.
Yeah,
in the movie.
he's a serviceable actor.
Yeah. He sucked in RoboCop, but everything about that movie was terrible. So anyway, so they're in the bar. Rick Flag comes up and he says, "I'm gonna disconnect everybody's bombs," or something like that. And he turns off the bombs, and everybody goes to look in a mirror, I guess, to see if the light is out in their throat.
Right.
Why does Harley Quinn turn around and look in the mirror when her bomb has already been disabled by the Joker?
Does she ever know that it was disabled?
Yeah.
He just tells her to go. He just says, "Go now."
Well, she knew that he had a thing to turn them off.
Right.
Which is why Deadshot thought he would get all of them. Which is why she runs off and he's like, "No." And then she does. Then Will Smith just decides to be a good guy anyway for no reason.
Well, the whole movie, they're trying to give Will Smith a,
like a happy arc.
Right.
Or,
they're trying to make him seem like a human being.
Yeah.
And give him emotion and stuff and throwing all that stuff in there. So, like, at the end, you're like, all right, this guy's, a real dude.
Yeah. Which doesn't work.
No. Because in the end, he's an assassin and he kills people.
Right.
And even at one point, he says something. And Harley Quinn's like, "Yep, typical trait of a sociopath," or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, this guy's a sociopath.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're still trying to look. He has a daughter. He cares about his daughter. Blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
That's all we needed from him was just I just want to take care of my daughter.
Right.
So I feel like with that character, every step of the way, the Rick Flag character should have just been offering him more.
Right.
Like, all right, well, we'll give you this much money. Keep coming with me. We'll give you this much money. And then maybe in the last scene, he goes, I'll give you this much money. He goes, no, I'll come with you. At this point, I'll do it for free. Right. But like halfway through the movie, I mean, they're not even really in the heat of the battle. And Will Smith's already like, I'm with you to the end, buddy.
Yeah, it was, forced and...
Yeah. Stereotypical. It's just a shame. Because they were so close to having it. Like, I mean, you understood all the characters, even the sub-characters like Killer Croc, who didn't have anything to do until the sequence when they say, oh, we got a bomb in the sewer. Who should we send?
Right.
And Killer Croc says, I'll do it. And someone goes, I don't know. At that point, I said, why else is he even in this movie if not to go into the sewer?
Right.
And I got up and went to the bathroom. I was like, I need a break. So I walked away in the middle of the climax of the movie. So
you didn't see some of it?
I missed about 2 minutes, yeah. It was right. I came back just as they were fighting each other in the tunnels. And then that unnamed U.S. Army guy sets off a bomb right next to his head.
Right.
But Killer Croc gets all the glory. Like, Croc goes down with, like, this soldier who is a good man. Mm-hmm. He goes down with this monster. And I'm not just saying that because he's horribly disfigured. He's a monster of a person.
Right.
And he blows himself up for the good of mankind, and he doesn't even get half a second, And then you have the El Diablo character who, in that bar scene that I like, he talks about, like, he's a bad man, but he's murdered women and children. And he goes on to tell a story about how he got mad at his wife for her getting mad at him. It was weird because he's like, my wife is the only person who's ever been able to tell me no. And in the very next sequence, he goes, and then my wife told me no.
And
so I killed her. And then I killed my children.
Yeah, it seemed like they wanted to make the Diablo character like way more of a centerpiece than he ended up being. Because he was like the good guy of them. Like he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight, and for the majority of the movie, he just kind of is like a bystander, just standing on the sidelines. Yeah. When they're fighting, and every once in a while they'll be like, "Yo, are you going to do anything?" And he explains that he doesn't want to. He didn't want to be involved in this from the beginning, but they put the thing in his neck and they're going to kill him. So he's like, "I might as well go along with it." But it seemed like they wanted his story to be like the forefront of the movie. Yeah. And then, but Will Smith and Margot Robbie are just better actors, and their characters are just more interesting. Mm-hmm. And they ended up being, the main characters, if you will.
Well, it seemed like they wanted a neat redemption story for this guy. Right. But his character is too heinous to redeem, especially that late in the movie. Like, you can't reveal going into the third act, oh yeah, I murdered my wife and my 2 young children because I got mad. Right,
like you said, that in the beginning, that should have been laid out right in the beginning, who this guy is. Yeah. Even though he might seem like a docile dude, yeah, they keep showing the scene in the prison where he kills a bunch of people in prison. Right. Which, okay, but like, let's get back to his family life. Like, you don't need to go into it like a long length, but like quick little introduction. Flashback, 15-second flashback of him killing his wife in the very beginning of the movie would have been perfect.
Yeah, I mean, if that character's emotional hook is that he murdered his family, I don't care about him killing a bunch of people in prison. Right. Like, that's...
Why is he in prison?
Because he turned himself in.
Oh, okay.
They do show that. He, like, walks out and he's got his hands on his head. He's coming out of the burning house, and I think that's supposed to be his house. But, I mean, I don't care, dude. I mean, I don't care that you sacrificed yourself. You've done some horrible things. That's the problem. That's one of the bigger theme issues with the movie, is that it's trying to redeem these horrible people, right, who at the end of the movie are still horrible people, where instead of trying to make them become good guys. Like, we should still see them as villains, whereas we don't. Like, we kind of see Will Smith as, oh yeah, he loves his daughter, but if he got out of prison, he would kill anyone he could.
Right.
Which I did like that scene at the end with his daughter, where they're talking about math and if you're shooting a guy from 100 feet up, like how the hypotenuse of a triangle and the weight of a bullet and all that stuff. I thought that was tone perfect for the movie because, yeah, I'm an assassin. I'm still an assassin. My kid is into it, and she's learning because of it. She's not a terrible person like I am, but she supports me, and I do what I can for her. Like, you have to embrace the evil. You have to want the bad guy to win in this movie. You can't want the bad guy to become the good guy and then win.
Right. It's okay that they're bad guys. You don't need to make them good guys.
Exactly.
They're bad guys for a reason.
They should be betraying each other left and right.
Right.
They should have done everything they could to. I mean, there's no way that whole thing that they all survive, and I know that they don't, but all the main characters survive. Without a scratch almost. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess, and it's another DC mess, and
yeah, it's definitely better than Batman Superman, but I mean, what's that saying?
Yeah,
not
much better. It's
yeah. I mean, I'll probably watch it. I hope that there's a director's cut on DVD.
Well, apparently, what I read is that David Ayer, the director, is saying that this is the director's cut, which I feel like is probably the studio telling him. Because obviously people knew that there were reshoots, and people knew that this movie got messed with a lot after it was, done filming. So he's coming out and saying that this is his cut. This is what he wanted to be released. But
no one believes it.
Yeah, there's no way that this is what he wanted.
Yeah, well, he knows how to play ball. Like, he wants more work.
Right.
He's not going to pull a Josh Trank.
Right, and just be like this. Yeah, is completely.
This is not what I wanted, and I mean, you can just tell from the very beginning. Now, most people say that they didn't like the first half as much as the second half. I like the first half more than the second half.
Yeah, I did too.
But you can tell it's totally out of order. I mean, you could argue that it's supposed to show how disjointed all their minds are, but from a storytelling point of view, you're not telling a story. You're just confusing your audience. It just doesn't work. So that's Suicide Squad.
Yep.
Let's move on.
Please.
Oh, God. Equipment falling in our studio. Last week's Ray's Random Request. Ray, you asked, what is the best or worst remake of a movie? Why did that come up? Oh, Total Recall.
Total Recall, yeah.
Right, yeah. We had quite a few answers. Dan on Twitter, friend of the show, Dan, he says the remake of Ocean's 11 is 1,000 times better than the original. He didn't even want to finish the original, but it was in school. And that last part doesn't make any sense, Dan.
No, but that's a great answer. I mean,
it is.
Like that'd be one of the most popular answers. The one thing that I thought about when I was after I asked this question, I was thinking about what my answer would be. And I started thinking about stuff, and there's not many movies that I've seen both. Like I've seen the new Ocean's. I've never seen the old one.
I've never seen the old one either. Yeah.
What else was I thinking of? I've seen The Manchurian Candidate, the new one. Never seen the old one.
I've only seen the old one of that.
Right.
But
I've seen the old Poltergeist. Never seen the new one.
That's probably.
I've seen the old Carrie. Never seen the new. You know what I mean? I've never seen both. Not many movies have I seen both of.
Right.
So I really couldn't answer my question as good as I wanted to.
It's a difficult question because when you see one, why go back?
Right. And if you heard something was bad, and if a movie you love is remade, you're like, I don't want to see that. It's it's gonna suck.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think most of the time you're gonna see the new one and then say, well, I'll go back and see the original.
Right.
Like I was thinking, the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yes.
I'd seen the Swedish one, but I haven't seen the David Fincher one yet because the Swedish one was great.
Yeah. The David Fincher one is good. But the Swedish one is better. And that's another point I was going to bring up too. Like in terms of this question, I have seen a lot of foreign films, and then I've seen their American, remake.
Yeah.
One that comes to mind with me is Let the Right One In.
Oh.
The American remake was called Let Me In. about the little kid who befriends the girl who's a vampire.
Oh, that's the remake of that?
Yes. So, and that would be a good answer because both those movies are very good. The original foreign one is better, but the American version is on par with it. It's very good movie. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen either one.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the Let Me In is the American one.
Let Me In is the American version.
I didn't even think I've even heard of that one.
Yeah.
Jill on Facebook, she says her favorite remake is Cape Fear.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
I have never seen either one of those.
I've never seen the old one. I've only seen the new.
Yeah, she said that
Scorsese one.
She's seen both. And Matt, who lives in Montana, his pick is The Departed, which is
The Departed?
Yeah, which is a remake of a Japanese crime movie
called Infernal Affairs.
Yeah, good pull.
Yeah, which I've never seen.
I've never seen it either because The Departed is perfect.
Right, but I've heard that that's very good though.
Yeah, Sam, who we work with, Sam C. It's a totally different Sam. She said that she said a movie, but I can't find her response anywhere. And I sent her a tweet, and she didn't reply back before now. So sorry, Sam. I couldn't find it. I looked everywhere.
It's your own fault.
And then Liz says that her pick would be You've Got Mail,
right?
Which she said is a remake of the second remake of two other movies.
Yeah, which we didn't know.
Blew my mind. I guess every 20 years they're just going to remake You Got Mail.
Yeah, I've never seen You Got Mail, so I don't know.
The Little Shopkeeper or whatever.
Little Shop of Horrors?
No, that's a musical. Not about mail. But yeah, I guess that was cool. I didn't know that. So thanks, Liz.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of movies that are remakes that you don't realize.
Yeah, remakes and reimagining.
Right.
So, I mean, we only ever really hear about the remakes of the movies you love. Like, any year now they're going to redo Back to the Future because it's time to sell some more DVDs, And then everyone will go, oh, I'm not going to see it. And then it'll pull in $150 million over the first weekend and they'll have one.
Right.
So that was, thank you for all the answers this week. It was great to read all those. And Ray, what is this week's Ray's Random Rayquest going to be?
This week, since we talked about Suicide Squad,
how would you kill yourself?
Right. And just the eclectic characters, all the famous actors that were in the movie. My question this week is, what is your favorite ensemble cast of a film? So a good example would be like The Avengers is a movie with a lot of
that didn't even click in my head.
With a lot of fame. Yeah. A movie with a lot of big names in it. So this movie had Will Smith, it had Margot Robbie, it had Jared Leto. Mm-hmm. It had I really wouldn't call Jay Courtney a big name, but
Low Rent or Tom Hardy
or Jai Courtney as I call him, because every time I see his name I just
is it not Jai Courtney?
It's Jai. It's Jay. Like it's pronounced Jay, like Jay, but it's spelled Jai.
Well, he's
Australian. Whatever. I don't know if that
so it really is Low Rent.
Yeah,
Hardy.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. Yeah. But yeah, what would your favorite ensemble cast would be? Ocean's 11's another good one.
Yeah, that would be my pick. Is the first Ocean's 11.
It's a heavy hitters across the board. The Big Short is another one that just came out recently.
Oh yeah.
That was a very good ensemble cast. I haven't
seen that yet. I got to get to that.
So yeah, there's a lot of movies like that, old and new. So yeah, what's your favorite ensemble cast?
Great question. Anything to plug, Ray?
No, I got nothing.
I'd say check out Charlie's book. You can find it on Amazon. It's Boy Zero by Charles Chester.
Which is a really, really cool name, by the way. Charles Chester, if I could just point that out.
I'll go along with it. And I want to say hi to my son, Alex, because he listens to the show.
What's up, Alex?
Hey, Alex. Charlie and Keith say hi, too. I think that'll about... Oh, we got to do our things where we tell people where they can find us. If you thought you were done, but we're not done yet. If you're listening to us on the podcast radio network, thanks for listening. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, Stitcher, Google+, and thisweekinfilmpodcast.com. That's where you can on all those places where you can connect with us to answer Ray's random request or rate, review, and subscribe to us. But if that is the end of the reel, then we'll see you next week in film.
See ya.
Bye.